Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Rather, that the family is the fountain from where society itself draws its value system and its sense of identity. An individual is expected to learn and imbibe, certain qualities like discipline, love, sense of responsibility from the family. But we've seen a gradual decline in family values and blatant disregard for life, honor, and truth. Where really have we gone wrong in society? Well, this morning we are discussing decline in family values and its effects on national cohesion. Our guest, and I dare say my friend, Reverend Francis Ago, is in the studio to talk to us about this subject matter. He's a priest and, of course, a humanitarian. Welcome, Reverend Francis. Thank you again. It's always a pleasure having you on the seat.
Thank you.
I remember the last time we spoke, we touched on family values. But today we are going to take it from a different perspective, which is how, decline in family values has actually, tugged on the fabric of our national cohesion. So in your own experience, how really has family values declined with the passing, dispensations, maybe starting from wherever, as far back as you can go? Do you think there's more decline, or do you think we are getting better? What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you, my sister. Really, we're not getting better anyway. Because, like I've told you before, as a missionary between the prisoners, what actually causes those things that made them to be there as prisoners? Family value. So, if we don't have decline in family value, much of the evil vices will not be coming up. So the evil vices are increasing because the family value has been declined or derailed or even abandoned. There are a lot of ways to look at it. So, before now, there are shared values once it concerns the family. What is even the family? You look at it, the components of the father, the mother, and the children. Now, before now, there are some elements of control in our family system, whereby the father takes charge, the authority, the order of what happens in the family. The mother is there as a subordinate to assist the man to train the children. But for today, what we are seeing is that we have been much engulfed with a lot of things. The man of the house is on the road. The subordinate of the house, the mother, is on the road. The children have been abandoned. And it is now affecting the moral growth of the family. Because if the parents were there to look at those children eyeball to eyeball, monitor their growing system, the Bible says, tell me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Many of our parents don't even know who is the friends to their children. A lot of dangerous mix-up has taken place. And then the family is now a receiving point of it.
Okay, Reverend, you did mention something very important. You said the man is on the road, the woman is on the road. But I hope you were saying that the man is working, the woman is working.
Yeah, vice versa, whichever way.
Interesting. Now, we live in a dispensation where the society in itself frowns at women who call themselves stay-at-home moms. They feel the stress of the economic demands of a family shouldn't rest squarely on the man, which was what it was, in the days before now. So, in this state of quagmire, for lack of a better word, that we have found ourselves, and the man is not there, the woman is not there, how can they, and it's not because they are doing it because they don't know their roles, their gender roles, just the way the economy is. Then how can parents go back to the drawing board, regardless of the fact that the man is working, the woman is working? How can they? Because we cannot, because the man and the woman, they are working, we forget our fundamental responsibilities.
Okay.
So how would you advise parents to go back to the drawing board and see to the emotional, spiritual, physical, and any other, aspect of their children?
Okay, thank you, my sister. You see, they cannot abandon looking for daily bread. But you have to be tactical, whatever you do. You have to, be in control of your actions. If a man is working and the woman is working, peradventure they may not be working at the same establishment, or maybe they may not be doing the same thing for their daily livings. They need to have a chart on how to go about their children, knowing fully well that these children represent them by tomorrow. Knowing fully well that these children are their properties. Like for example, there are some families, the children watches film from 12 midnight to every time, no limitation. Now, don't you think that those films that are watching, who is monitoring it? What are they learning from it? What is even the stuff of those films they are watching? There must be regulation. Even if the man is working, the wife is working, they should push themselves in a way that they'll have regulation to what happens to their children.
There must be a balance.
Yes, of course. There must be a balance. And it will help in training these children. Now, as a school administrator, there are sometimes you see some parents who pick up their phone and call you and ask you, are you going to be on lesson today? Why are they asking you are going to be on lesson today? Because maybe she's at Onisha doing 1 or 2 bits. So she wants to know if the child will not stay from school from 7 o'clock in the morning till like 5:30 in the evening. Because she's busy. No. Calculate yourself. Now, when even do you have time to sit down, joke with your children, discuss with your children, chat with your children, the family bond? Are they see you as a masquerade? Some parents have made themselves to be masquerade to their children.
All right, Reverend, it is said that when you know better, you do better. So as parents, when they know better, they do better. I'll give you an example. I've had an experience where a lady, she was in a car, she was carrying her kids, and then she wanted to buy food, street food, and she blocked the road, and she was, driving against traffic and blocked the road. So I instinctively told her to move down so that we can find a way to pass, that jam that she actually created.
All right.
And she looked out from her side of the window and started insulting me to the extent that she said, "You ugly thing." And it wasn't what she said, because I really don't care about it was the fact that she was, doing all that in front of the children. So I asked her, are you not bothered that you're doing all this in front of your children? And the increase actually took on another level. So my thought exactly, do you think parents actually know better? And if they don't know better, what is the way forward? Because there are parents that their kids that are supposed to be in school will go home, come back. It even starts from primary level. They go to school, come back with toys that you didn't buy for them.
Okay.
They go to universities, come back with cars that they can't afford, and you don't go out of your way to find out how the child made this money. Now, if we have parents who don't know better, what is the way forward?
Now, corn can never produce cocoyam.
It's a law.
All right? Now, like the woman you gave instance of what happened, what transpired between you and her, if you look back to her background, you'll be able to find out why she did what she did. Fundamental issues. Maybe she is a kind of lady that grew up in between a parent that maybe at all times the father will be quarreling with the mother. She's learning those things.
What's the way forward for the
No,
child?
no.
How would it change?
What the way forward? The way forward
Because it's
is
just not fair that kids don't get, the training that they deserve so that they can imbibe those values that we're talking about.
One of the things we must do is to get back down to what I called who is your model? As you are growing up, who is your model? Who do you imitate? If you see all this kind of music they put on televisions or radio, sometimes on their phones, and play some of these things that has no good rhythms. And you even see today, like yesterday, I went somewhere, I was telling somebody that a day is coming when nakedness will not be order of the day. Because people are beginning to see nakedness as, it doesn't matter. It matters. It matters. So the solution is going back to the drawing board. Now, as a clergyman we have been speaking out. Let other persons join us in the campaign. Even those who are on the social media, let them join up to find out that, if we leave it in this way, sooner or later, you will have more deteriorated society.
All right, Reverend, before we go into the larger consequences of, degradation of family values, let's talk about the root causes of this breakdown of family values. I'll give you an instance. You will see a child or a student read, get good grades, straight A student, and nobody recognizes him or her. Even to get a job is an issue. And then you see another child, probably a contemporary or an age mate, go on social media, like you mentioned, get naked or go on certain reality shows, do all manner of things, and comes out, society applauds them, the government of the day gives them appointments as special advisors, and then the person who is reading, probably spending money on education, is wondering, what's the need?
Then those in government who are there.
I'm just trying to say,
because now those
how can we change
those in those positions of government who are there? What were their foundations of life? How do they even get there? Because you must begin to look at it from that point.
Okay, let me rephrase this.
Okay.
So the parents probably do not know better. Those in authority probably do not know better. How can the church come in to help the foundation of the family so it doesn't crash entirely?
No. The church has been there. But each time what we witness is that those who comes into authority of the government brings in some policies that cripples the church system.
What policies?
It is in history. Before now, our educational system has been handled by the church. Educational system has been handled by the missionaries. Now, government can come up and said, we are taking over the educational system. And while they take over educational systems, they are bringing on unfulfilled ideas, unachievable ideas. Now, pushing the church to the corner. If they should revise the idea, maybe the government will be at the point of sponsoring the schools, providing the necessary materials, but let the church now, let the church now be at the point of manager. So that if the government pays the teachers the salaries and whatever, their allowances and whatever, so that those teachers will not be on lack for anything. But let the mission continue being at the manager. Then the man as the manager will be able to stand firm to know what to do and how to do it. Guided by the morals.
All right. If you can recall, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore.
Okay.
Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, he had a very peculiar way of governance, in the sense that he actually put morals into legislation.
Okay.
So do you think Nigeria should toe that path? I recall there was a time, if you can recall too, a female senator put forward a proposal about necklines of women, that if it goes below a certain length, that it should be penalized. And immediately she was shut down by other senators, saying that it's a thing of morals, it shouldn't be a thing of legislature. Do you think we should put, since our morals have actually degraded to this point, you think it's time to put it under legislation, so that if you do certain things, although they feel you should have learned from the home, but you did not. So if you do certain things, you'll be penalized by law. You think that's the way forward?
Even scriptures has some issue. Do this, don't do this.
But there were no punitive measures.
No. The issue of that is that even in the history, when God was dealing with the Israelites, there are some punishment that comes after disobedience. It is still that way today. There are things you will do, you will still be punished divinely by what you did wrongly. So if government on their own should now understand that there is no easy way to go by this except to have a law that will guide those things, then let's give it a trial. Let them even get closer, the church leaders, into what they are doing, so that the church leaders can now assist in helping them to put those legislative systems in a way that will carry it even as a campaign down to the church, down to the society, down to the families.
All right, so we've mentioned a lot of solutions. We did mention about allowing the church to come close to governance, giving the schools back to the church, and also including morals into legislation. Are there other ways that society can boost its moral value, before we quickly go into the consequences?
Now again, I always like to let you know that we don't just come from we have a society where we come from. The traditional rulers, the head of the communities where we are, how do they handle those things? If a traditional ruler is somebody that is wayward in life and character, he can't instill that moral on anybody. It must go from that line. And once it goes from that line, maybe if there is a church in a community whereby the priest or the pastor there is shouting on top of his voice about the ills in the society, and the traditional ruler is doing a different thing, I think he must have succeeded in creating a parallel system of life to that people. But if there are communities whereby the priest or the pastor is on top of his voice shouting against immoral things, and the traditional rulers or the leaders of that community is another way backing up that idea, everybody will now come at a state that this is what we need to be doing, and we go with that direction.
How do you see improvements in moral values? How do you see it fostering national cohesion? Because right now, it's as though the Efik man does not like the BBO, the Igbo man, the Yoruba man, the Hausa man. It's as if there is no real cohesion, in the sense that we are all one Nigeria. Everybody seems as though it's to your tents, O Israel. How do you feel that imbibing morals at the family level can actually make the Yoruba man see the Igbo man and extend that hand of fellowship, and vice versa?
Yes, government has a duty on that. I read history as a subject while I was in secondary school time, and see, as a teacher these days, you see that some of the things they open up to pack up in textbooks for people to read as history, so are no more there. Now, those history of our time, to study the culture of the North culture, Efik culture, this and that and that, it adds the value to what we are doing. Now, we are doing, for example, the NYSC, for example. NYSC is an avenue whereby government is trying to bring down cohesion.
The question is, are the outcomes actually favorable?
Now, why the outcome is not all that 100% achievable or achieving, is because that our political leaders who are not helping matters in that idea. Now, if you come to a position, maybe somebody who is a leader, a political leader, and he wants to appoint people that will assist him in different positions, how does he go about doing those things? Is he doing it based on the moral aspect of understanding that I may not have interest of my own people alone, but people who can do it? Because that which the eye sees gets into the mind. So if the political leaders are giving open room to people who can do what is necessary, that is logical, that is basic to get things done. I know during the time of Yar'Adua as a person, it was the kind of man that I cherish his kind of administration so much. He looks at the best. He doesn't necessarily consider where you come from. He looks at this person can do this. So if government in national level will now bring into those things, we have different tribes, different ethnic groups and that. But can we come to tell ourselves the best truth of the day? That what we are looking is a way of moving Nigeria forward. And the best way to do it is that we should now get off our mind on tribalism and talk about national interest. So that once we move with that direction of national interest, giving those people who can do it the works to do, giving them free hand to do it, I think we will achieve the goal we're looking for. But if we don't go that direction, we continue to bring the whole thing and it continue to be that way.
Okay, so we're here to help. We're talking about national cohesion, but we want to still go down to the basics because everything emanates from the family.
Yeah.
What are some of the indicators that parents should look out for in their children to know that these are warning signs and we need to check this now?
Okay. Now, even as a parent, today I think a child of 2 years in the school.
Yes, even a month.
All right.
If the mother is a working
Good.
class mother.
Good. He or she leaves your house to school, or you take him or her to school, whichever way, and the child comes back from school. One of the things I do, even to my own children, is to watch their bag. The content of their bag when they come back from school. To ask you, who owns this one? How do you get this one? How come this one? Like I told you before now that many parents don't have even time for their children again. Because if you can't dictate those things, you see them using those things and you don't even care. Then tomorrow you see them coming to a house with a jeep from while he's in university. You don't even care too. You know, some parents will say, leave them, they are living their lives. But you don't know they are not living their lives, you are just spoiling them, assisting them to get spoiled off. Monitoring. Watching. You are to be the caregiver. You are the caregiver. You are the mother. You are the father. You are the parents to take care of them. And once that caregiving is not there, then the effect you see it.
Now, most times, one of the challenges that parents and, of course, children have is, like you mentioned, parents do not have the time. Therefore, there is no, not really relationship. There's no, that avenue where the child is free to come and talk to the mother or talk to the father. They don't have that relationship. So the parent is listening to you now and he feels, oh, my child is way past this level of, checking bags and things like that. And we don't really have that platform, or the child doesn't come freely to me. I hear things about my child from others. What do you advise that parent to do going forward?
Every parent listening to me now should understand that we are the cause of our problem. There is an adage in Igbo who say that if you don't create that room for that child to know that you are the parents, the mother, the father, that he or she cannot overgrow you. You know, the foundation matters a lot. Even while they will be in the universities out of a few years, there are things they will be doing in the university, but because he remembers, I have a foundation, I have a system of growth, I have something that has been instilled in me, there are things they will not do. That's why Bible says, train a child the way they should grow, that when they get old. I said this before here. So, those things matters.
But Reverend, you know, the Igbos also say that
Okay.
anytime you wake up, that is your morning.
Your money, yeah?
So someone must have made that mistake, you know, at the foundational state. That doesn't mean that all hope is lost.
Not at all.
What can parents do going forward? You did mention practical things like checking bags. I loved that. What can they do? Maybe at the teenage years where they no longer carry bags as if they're in primary school. What can they do to foster that relationship? Because kids, actually, they say they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Okay.
So if a parent wakes up and realizes, look, I've missed it, you know, from this, you know, this time to this time, what can the parent begin to do?
Now, do you know that there are people who read guidance and counseling in the school as a professional course? Yeah. Our parents should, if you cannot handle those things, make close to those people. Let your children have close relationship with them. Get them involved in your matter that concerns you. There are some pastors and priests who are very good guidance and counselors. How often do your children have time to go close to churches and programs like that? Because it is an assignment. It is a duty that is called for. And as a parent, if you are not seeing those things that you are missing it, then there's a problem. But once you observe that you are missing it, what you now look for is a solution to that. And the solution is like going to people who can assist you do something better.
Reverend, how can we best, because Children's Day is coming up, 27th of May this month, how can we best maximize that day towards molding our children and taking them back to, learning, things like discipline, things like a sense of responsibility? People are no longer responsible. If there's an issue now, everybody's looking for who to blame. Nobody wants to take the responsibility. How can we use this day to create awareness and, mold our children towards being the leaders that we want to see in future?
Yes, I know that some years back, even now, we used to do Children's Day in some, failed environment, an open place. I think what government should do is trying to get people who can talk to these children. Talk to them. Push that knowledge on them. Let them know what they ought to know and what they ought to be doing.
But Reverend, I don't want to cut you short. This thing they say that do what I say, but not what I do.
Okay.
Children, they model a lot after parents and adults and people, even government.
Okay.
So when it seems as though these values are not modeled to them and you just talk to them, do you think it's effective?
No, like I've said before now, that it is a fundamental issue from the home. It's from home. Because if a father is not that kind good man, the mother is not kind good woman, then what do you think they're going to produce? But you talk about this issue of Children's Day that has been an annual ritual. Let me put it that way. So if it is possible that when the children were gathered together to celebrate the Children's Day, somebody with that passion can be invited to talk to them. Maybe out of 200, 2 persons may go home being a changed persons. Why church organizes crusades and revival doesn't mean that everyone who comes to that crusade will just repent overnight. But peradventure, maybe after the message and by the wish of the Holy Spirit and whatever, then 2 persons can got the message clear and they will go in. And the Bible said that there is joy in heaven when 1 person. Are you getting the point? So you can begin to reduce those things by one person at a time. But leaving it in the title of not doing anything at all, you are creating a very I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
That the society of tomorrow is there to suffer it.
Now, you did mention NYSC, that is a project or a program that was designed to foster, national cohesion. But we did also mention here that the outcome has not actually been what was anticipated. Now, what are some of the reforms, value-based reforms, do you think we can bring about, or people can even petition for in the NYSC to ensure that in the long run, it fosters the national cohesion for which it was established?
Well, sometimes now you don't have a restriction of where to serve or one not to serve before now. But because of all these killings, security, all these things, it's really affecting the whole system. And if the enthusiasm of going to be a copper is no more there, in those days of our own, you'll be struggling to make sure your name be enlisted to go for your service. And you'll be enlisted to go for your service to mix up with other people of the other tribe. Like myself, I did my own in Akwa Ibom State. Up to today, I still have some of my friends from Akwa Ibom State. I have some of my friends who are from the north. We are still in contact. I have some of them who are from the south. We are still in contact. That is the joy of it. But because of the way things have deteriorated, people are not more even interested. Somebody from Enugu State even wish to serve in Enugu. One, because of majorly insecurity, the unknown. So the founding fathers who established that idea did it to bring back the bond of relationship as a country after the Civil War. I know that it's in history. So if we can now fine-tune it in a way that enthusiasm will be rekindled again, that people will be safe talking about going for youth service. You have seen that sometimes it to be on radio, on the news, that a copper was killed, and that kind of a thing. So, but in our own time, they will call out that we are government property. That kind of untouchable, that kind of a thing, government property. And each place you will come, even within the villages, copper, that relationship. Your security becomes paramount to the leaders of the community because they see you as an essential person. Very important.
So what can be done better in the NYSC? So
what can be done better in the NYSC is still down to reorientation. Reorientation, letting our leaders of different states or different communities to know that these people are coming in to serve, to foster the bond of relationship as a nation. So that even if nothing happens, they'll have it at the back of their mind that they are going to have corpers who are going to come from different states or different regions. So let them have a proper security measure for their interest.
Now, you're a humanitarian and you work in prison ministry.
Yes, of course.
How have you tried, or your organization tried to, because you provide a lot of services, because they have a lot of issues and needs, but how have you tried to speak to or to address, moral needs? Because you did say it was moral decadence that brought most of them to the prison. Is there any activity or program or project that is specifically aimed at, instilling moral values? But then you ask people that age, how easy is it to instill moral values they didn't get from the homes? What has that experience been for you?
Okay. Then you now know that there is first option and second option. The first option is that of the family. The second option is what we are doing. To be sincere with you, there are some of them who succeeded in getting back to what they should know.
Okay.
Because being there in the prisons or in the correctional center, they see themselves as some people feel, what am I here for? What actually brought me here? Because in any living person that will repent, there must be some element of regret. And if you see such a person at that point of regret, you will now have the opportunity of getting him to a better thing. So we've been dealing with them. We've been handling them. And some, even as I was coming to Enugu this morning, I saw one of the emails I've helped out to Oji River prison somewhere. He greeted me, and we had little chats, and he was happy. Now he's doing something meaningful.
Great.
All right?
All right, Reverend, before we let you go, because I've been informed that our time is gradually winding up, the state of hopelessness that most people have actually, come into in the country, where people are saying, there's no hope because nobody cares, there's no love, people are just committing crimes with impunity. I usually cast my mind back to Egypt and Israel. Israel, they were in captivity for 430 years, and then God brought them, freedom. Do you see Nigeria, moving towards that freedom, for lack of a better word? Do you see us emerging from this, shackle of lack of moral decadence?
Yes, but it takes one thing: commitment, love, and friendship. Commitment, love, and friendship. One of us are committed for a single goal, and we have love to ourselves. We'll expand our friendship scope. We'll get there.
All right, interesting. I think it was the Bible that says, it is rather the Bible that says that love covers a multitude
of sins.
Yes. So I guess it would be right to put it back to the church to probably tailor their messages more along the lines of love. Because when our messages preach love, it brings about transformation. What do you think, Reverend?
Yes, even from where I come from Oji River Diocese, we're going to have our synod this period, and the bishop of our diocese, Reverend Ike Chukwuebon, has been fashioning on the church dominating. All right? So because when the church dominates and does their things the way it ought to be, things will change.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, Reverend Famago, for your insights.
God
it's always
you.
A pleasure, talking.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.